That is Green Day covering the great John Lennon. Big fan of that tune. I want to kind of shift gears here and really talk about the demonization of your organization, Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. The website is ae911truth.org. That's ae911truth.org. And the call-in line is 866-582-9933. Taking your calls this segment for Richard Gage. Now, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, while basically doing a presentation on Islamic terror and domestic terror, actually intertwined a shot of your website with Al-Qaeda-like websites and really demonized you and your group as terrorists. And this happened, what, about 18 months ago, Richard?
Yeah, it was quite disturbing. The Jane Harmon's subcommittee on from the Homeland Security Department, subcommittee on using the internet as a terrorism. They were counseled by the Rand Corporation, which specializes in counterterrorism, interestingly enough, to create this presentation to terrorize really the congressional members into taking some action to take control over the internet, because it's just such a bad thing. And sure enough, they show these jihadi militant training exercises and instructions, and right between them they put in the slide presentation our website, AE Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, and it's just really quite disturbing to have that juxtaposition. We wrote. Mark Wietzman of the Simon Wiesenthal Center demanded a retraction, an apology, and an explanation as to why in the world he would do such a thing. I mean, we're a very peaceful, science-based organization looking at the facts, the forensic science-based facts found, at the crime scene of the World Trade Center. So why in the world would they do that? Well, they may be trying to test the waters with a disturbing set of implications, associations, condemnations. It's very disturbing for all of our freedoms, really.
Yeah, and this is the same Jane Harmon that just last month was caught up in this Israeli spy scandal where she's caught on tape talking to lobbyists how she'll take care of it and make sure that it never goes to investigation. And this is the one trying to demonize you and yours for trying to tell the truth. It is complete insanity, Richard, and it just shows what snakes these people really are.
I wouldn't argue with that, although we try to keep a positive.
I don't know how you can keep a positive view on somebody
when you're dealing with this disturbing information.
Yeah, but you know what? How do you keep a positive view on somebody who's literally gunning for you and your organization and, in essence, the truth by trying to intertwine you with the enemy that the entire country has been brainwashed to believe is trying to kill us all? It's almost as bad as these DHS reports, if not worse. Who knows what's in the classified reports? When I saw that, I really had to do a double take, and I was just like, this is more than disappointing. This is just disgusting and disturbing. And you continue to be attacked, not only in the mainstream media, but by these subgroups. I mean, how do you deal with it? I get these calls all the time. Jason, how do you keep going? How do you do this 3 days a night, or 3 hours a night, 5 days a week? And I tell them, because this is serious. This is a real issue, and 9/11 supersedes the left or the right, Democrat and Republican, and I really think it's the only way that we're going to bring this country back to its constitutional, background. We're never going to be able to do it unless we expose those who carried out 9/11 and reinstate the Constitution and Bill of Rights, Richard.
Yeah, and our job in that effort is to educate the public and architects and engineers about the collapses of all 3 World Trade Center high-rises on 9/11. And that's, I think, how I can maintain and keep going and be positive, because we have a great deal of success in that. As I mentioned, almost everybody who looks at the evidence, who's willing to look at the evidence, it takes a half hour, sometimes an hour, to present the evidence to people to where they really begin to get it and their jaw drops and they go, "Oh my God, how did I not hear about this before?" They're so grateful. So when they look into my eyes, they tear up. And they say, "Thank you for doing this." That's what feeds me. That's what keeps me going. I'm just on fire, really, about what we're doing, because it feeds itself. The architects agree with us. They sign our petitions. Some of them help us. We have dozens of volunteers now helping us to get the word out, and we have over 100 sustaining members. We're asking your listeners to consider becoming a sustaining member of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, so that we can continue to go to the conventions and present the information to the architects, where they're kind of forced to deal with it, because there they are walking down the exhibitor pavilion, and they find our booth, and there they are confronted with widescreen TVs with Building 7 going down, and they have to stop and look at it, because it says World Trade Center 7. They're going, "What? No, that's not the Twin Towers." No, it wasn't. And it came down at free fall speed. And does that bother you to know that happened on 9/11, a 47-story skyscraper, the third worst structural failure in modern history? So we're asking everybody to help us to feed these architects the truth on an ongoing basis throughout the country at these conventions. It takes $6,000 to $10,000 per convention for us to get there, set up, pay all the exorbitant fees that we have to deal with, and it's remarkable. We'll get 50 to 100 petition signers per event as we get more efficient at this. It's pretty extraordinary.
I forgot about this because this was some months back, but do you remember that skyscraper in Singapore that went up? It was kind of built funny, but it was 50-plus stories, and it literally looked like, like something out of a rocket ship, because the entire thing was just one ball of fire, huge flames shooting off of it. That didn't fall, Richard. That didn't even tip over.
Well, that was in Beijing in February, and it's extraordinary because you're right. It was a huge torch. Every floor was involved. And no, it didn't tip over. In fact, no steel frame skyscraper has ever collapsed due to fire. Never in history before or since 9/11. And compare that to the three worst structural failures in modern history due to relatively small fires, particularly in Building 7 and the South Tower. The fires were going out in the South Tower when this building begins its precipitous, very explosive collapse. No, there's no precedent in steel frame fires. Plus, fires that do bring buildings down, it's an organic process. You're going to have large, gradual deformations because the fire moves through the building every 20 minutes or so, leaving one area to cool, heating up another area. It's going to fall, gradually and over, like in a wood frame building. But not symmetrically, straight down through the path of greatest resistance, the 40,000 tons of structural steel, for instance, in Building 7, destroying 400 structural steel connections per second. This is not something that fires do.
I'm with you. All right, let's take a call. Let's go to Jaja in New York. Jaja, you're online.
Hi, good evening, Richard. I'm a former Cooper Union graduate, and I totally appreciate what you're doing. It's a beautiful thing, and it's commendable, and I have to tell you, I was turned on to your movie by a fellow architect. I'm not an architect, I'm an artist. I have a lot of architect friends. With this investigation, and me delving into more and more details, I've come across a lot of people, and the main thing, and similar to what you said about the atomic level of it actually changing its form on the atomic level, I've been told that that there are H-bombs in the building, and everything, the mushroom cloud, and that's the difference between the 7 that actually just fell. It didn't have the, going upward, and there's a lot of information about it. I mean, has anybody ever explored that on the
Dr. Jones is a nuclear physicist. In fact, he looked carefully into that, and he found no evidence for nuclear weapons. You can have very explosive events like World Trade Center, Twin Towers, using high energy explosives, or possibly even nanothermite, because it becomes very explosive because of the nanoparticle size. The surface area expands dramatically, allowing instantaneous chemical reaction across the different elements. And so we don't know how explosive it might be because it's a very secretive technology developed in labs and Defense Department contractors.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Thank you for the call, Jaja. Let me jump. We got another caller, but I want to jump to something else. You know, his background is in cold fusion. Didn't he do like some crazy work on cold fusion for years and years and years before he was in Brigham Young?
That's what I hear. I don't know how crazy it was. He backs it up quite a bit with his. I don't mean crazy as in insane. It's just something that I would never be able to do.